Hi, welcome to Healing Humanity. My name is Dina, and I don't really know how to start or what I'm going to end up talking about tonight, but a lot's been coming through. A lot of questions, a lot of information, and I'm trying to put all the puzzle pieces together. In fact, that was one of my my messages was to put the puzzle pieces together for you from my life, but I don't think it's time for that quite yet. Um, so we'll do that another time. Want to think about it a little bit more, um, just to the level and how much to share. But people are having some identity crises right now, and I'm glad. I am so happy that you're asking better questions and that you're actually asking questions instead of assuming you already know everything. I feel as if perhaps some of my path has gotten your attention, and I'm glad. I really am. And I'm glad you're listening. I'm glad you're watching. And maybe some of it doesn't make any sense, and that's okay. It's not supposed to for everyone. Um, However, if you are listening and you have, additional questions, don't hesitate to reach out. You know, give me a call, send me an email or a message, or, um, you know, just reach out. I don't have any problems answering questions, certainly one on one or whatever. Um, but some of the identity crises that seem to be going on is, who are we in God? Like, how are we born of God? There's a verse in uh, John writings that says that you have to be born of God, or that they are born of God. The children are born of God, because they believed. So God made them born of Him, and what that means is that it's an enlightenment that happens within your body. So when I described before about the difference between the light, there is a light that happens outside of you. That's if you are part of groups. What that is, if you are doing um, rituals and various different things. Man can make himself appear to to be bigger than he is, to be godlike. But that's not God, and that's definitely not being born of God. That is a process, and you're learning ancient, ancient um, rituals and verbiages, words that can make certain things happen. This world is ruled by our word. In Genesis, it says, the world was made by the word, and so when God speaks, he can create. Well, so can we. You see, when people gossip, that is a form of a ritual that can tear someone else down, and we have made it more of a superficial thing. We think, oh, they're gossiping, and that's not that's not of the Bible. It's not nice or whatever. That's all well and good, but at the end of the day, it's truly just some form of a ritual that can actually do someone else spiritual harm. And some people know this. There's lots of different things, lots of different words that can be used, and rituals that can be done that can mimic some form of enlightenment. So it could be that you wake up and you are able to see things differently, or you're able to hear things, or you're able to process information differently, or just certain senses within you are heightened, sense of smell or taste or whatever. Lots of different gifts, like I've said before. So many of us have so many different gifts. I am not an expert in this. I am not fully awake, but I am fully a child of God. And how do I know that? Because of the light that I experienced and what happened in my life after, what happened within me after. Um, so when I was receiving hands-on healing, um, I didn't know at the time what that was, didn't really understand it. I just was going to, relax a little bit. I was under a lot of stress and a lot of pressure, and I was in a little bit of fear because of, pending surgery and so forth. So I was going through a lot at the time. So I went to these sessions, and, during one of the sessions, this light just like my heart kind of popped and it went, and hopefully you can hear that, but I heard it, the woman heard it, I felt it, and this instant flood of this light, white light, kind of went in my like was in my body, but it was into my head. And it reminds me of when we are first conceived in our mother's wombs, at the time of the fertilization of the egg, before we become a zygote, we actually are the the meshing of the male and female, the coming together of the egg and the sperm, it actually like eludes this flash of light. Now, somebody said that it was due to zinc. I couldn't tell you. I don't know, but I know that it's a miracle. And that was what kind of I felt within my body. It was this lightness, this very light and airy feeling that just took all of my pain and all of my concern and all of my anger that I was holding on to, and it just dissolved it. Literally dissolved it. I cried and I cried and I cried, and I couldn't even tell you, because 5 minutes before I was thinking about all these things that were bothering me, and I was seeing things in color, which I don't normally do. And I thought, well, this is crazy. I'm never going to relax like this. And then that happened, and this was just the first time. And this, faint light was within me and into my head, and I think that a lot of people can experience that through, um, maybe rituals that you're able to do within these groups, that secret societies or whatever. I think that people can experience that first light, and I think they can experience it without maybe God's involvement. But if it does happen, you would know, because it changes your heart. It starts in your heart and it changes your heart. It changes your mind. All the things that I was thinking prior to that light coming within me took everything away. I wasn't feeling stressed after that. I was just crying, and everything just released through those tears. It was gone. And I changed completely after that. There was nothing left within me that was confrontational or enjoyed any kind of like arguing or debate or anything like that. It was just gone, all of it. All of the past hurts and the pain and the things that I was carrying with me through years just seemed to go away pretty quickly. Things kind of, with the passage of time, things will circle through again, and you have to think about them and process things a little bit more. But really, all of that pain and the anger was just completely wiped away, and my heart was open. I just felt like it was a new day. It was a new moment in my life, and I was never going to be the same. And I haven't been. And then that second time was even bigger. It just filled my entire body, not just from here up. It just filled everything, and I feel like in that moment, all of my energy centers sort of opened at that point. And like I said, I'm still a work in progress, and people maybe don't understand that, but you can be awoken and be a child of God, but still not understand your path. And there's many of us out here right now who don't understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, but we're still out here doing something. And yeah, so it's that to be a child of God, you have to, there's several things that you have to do, but in preparation for that, and I think I had unknowingly done a lot of these things prior to my hands-on healing session, and just really opened up my heart to God in that moment, always having believed in him anyway. And he just took that opportunity to awaken me even further. But like I said, I'm not done. I'm never going to be maybe complete. I don't know. But I know that there's a lot of us out here that have gifts that we're trying to use them to the best of our ability. We're trying to wake people up. We're trying to share our knowledge and our journey as best as possible, and try to process it ourselves at the same time. You know, although we may have come here with greater knowledge than some, it doesn't mean that we're experts in everything, because none of us are. We're all pieces to a puzzle, and that puzzle's coming together. I hope that makes sense. So how do you become a child of God? Well, first it takes really an honest opening of your heart to trust in him and to lean on him, and know that he has your back, that Jesus is the only way to get to the kingdom. And I think I always believed that. I may not have always walked the walk, and I may not have always gone to church, but deep down within me, I believed that. And just like listening to certain songs that I used to listen to as a kid, I'd pull those songs up now, and they really speak to me. It's like, oh yeah, I really did like that song, and it was about Jesus, or it was about walking that certain path. And so it kind of, I guess I always did believe, even though I never consciously thought about it. And so when I was asked, do you believe, who do you want to call on? Are we calling on Buddha? Are we calling on God? And I'm like, no, I believe in God. And that's where my journey began. Well, not exactly began, but at least started with the light. And I think if you want to become a true child of God, you've got to start looking within yourself. Like, what do you truly believe? Are you truly still questioning whether Jesus was just a mere prophet, or was he just a carpenter who got lucky, or was he just a good salesman? I've had those thoughts too. I absolutely understand. But you have to come to terms with the answers to your questions. You have to seek out those answers. You have to understand that that man was not just a good salesman, although perhaps he was. He was not just a good salesman. He was working. He came knowing he had a mission. I mean, when he was a young boy, he was found in the the temples, right? He was found in the temples, learning and engaging with people who had greater knowledge than he at the time. But he also always knew, he had a grander purpose, and he was going to bring that purpose to fruition. He was going to make it happen, because he knew that he had a goal. He had a reason for his life. And when you know that you have a reason, when you're sent here and you have a reason, nothing will stop you. Nothing. You can continue to try to live in the world and do the best that you can in building a world according to man's desires or your own personal desires. But honestly, the only one that's going to let that happen is going to be God, because he put you here. He messed you with your mother, with your family, and you have a purpose. You have things to do, and he's requiring and requesting that you do certain things. And so it's just it's a calling, you know, and a lot of us are out here. It's not just one or two. There are a lot of people walking this earth right now, and there's even more that are not adults that have come as children now that are starting to, they have greater knowledge than what we probably ever had in the past, greater knowledge of God, greater knowledge of the world around us. And I would encourage you to listen to the children. You know, let them be themselves, let them talk, let them share things that might not seem real, that might seem odd or far-fetched, or like a dream, um, like a dreamy tale or something. Let them share those things. Write them down, because you never know what's going to come of those things in their future. Um, so I would just encourage you to listen to them. I would not encourage you, however, to put it on the internet. I have seen some people who have had very gifted and very beautiful energy children, right? They just have this pure energy about them. And of course, because the world hasn't gotten to them yet, but they just have this, the purest energy that I've seen. And I don't know what country they were from. I think they were in Africa, this one that I'm thinking about. And I just kept warning them not to put any more information on the internet, to take it down, um, because of what I've seen in my life, because of what my path has brought in my life. You know, the more that we share these things publicly, the less protected these children are. So I would highly recommend that you don't put their gifts, you don't share the oddities that happen in their lives with the general public, because you don't know who's watching. And I can guarantee you, the people that you don't want to see these things, they're the ones that are watching. So they can cause your children great harm, and they can cause them a lot of disruption throughout their entire life. So I would just highly recommend that you keep some of that stuff on the down low. Don't share the things that you don't have to share. It may seem amazing at the time, but what would Jesus have become if his mother, if we had the internet back 2,000 years ago, and his mom, you know, Mother Mary, put all of his miracles that he had done out for everyone to see? He would not have survived to the age of 33. That I can guarantee. And he certainly wouldn't have gained the knowledge that he did prior to. They would have stopped that quite easily. So just a side note, I would just, you know, keep all that stuff on the down low. Keep it within your family. Don't share it with others, because even keeping it within the family can sometimes cause problems. You know, if you're a mom and you're experiencing these things with your kids, or your dad and mom, and you're experiencing these things, just keep it as quiet, as hush as you can, but encourage your child. Don't let them feel like they're an odd duck, or they're, you know, something's wrong with them, or that they need to be quiet and not talk about stuff. Just let them be themselves, but don't share it with everybody. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, you know, but these are the things that are happening right now, and have happened, you know, throughout the ages, time and time again. But it's really happening a lot right now. And there are a lot of people that are awake right now that are children of God, and there are many more that are not, but hopefully they will turn and they will become children of God. You know, and like I said, one of the ways to start is to, you know, to pray to God, to ask him for guidance, for direction. Like, where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do with this information? How am I supposed to process this? How can I, if there's anything in me that doesn't believe, how can I find that belief? How can I find the answers to the questions that I'm asking? And, you know, look in the Bible. Seek one of those educational Bibles that has a lot of the descriptions in the back, that answers a lot of questions, or that you can look up general topics, and you can find, you know, all of the verses that have, you know, the topics about hell or demons or love or food, whatever. You can just look up all these different topics and you can read about whatever it is that you're interested in. Belief. Look up that. So anyway, that's how, I think that's how it begins. And I'll put something together a little bit more regarding like steps that I was taking during that time before my enlightenment. But I think being a child of God truly starts with your belief system. We all live in the world of man. We all live and strive to do something bigger, better, more, make more money, build our wealth, protect ourselves, right? But where is your true belief? Where does your heart really lie in the kingdom of God? I would start there. So until next time, keep healing.